Hey y'all, it's Sierra, aka Capricorn Moon Goddess, back with another video for y'all. I just posted in the community section about not being overly focused on trauma and the things that have caused you pain in your life. So just wanted to come on here and explain what prompted that and what I mean by that. Because I do believe that I'm one that does a lot of subconscious work, and I have a lot of information that I'm going to be disseminating and working on to give to you all about how to do work on your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind, the different functions in our brains and in our bodies, the science behind doing shadow work. Essentially, the shadow work in the spiritual community is basically working on your inner child, your subconscious, figuring out what is causing your blockages. So the point of exploring your trauma is to figure out how it is negatively impacting you in your life today. And then once you figure that out, you take the steps that you need to take in order to heal from that trauma or cope with it better. I think some things you may never fully heal from, some traumatic things, but just figuring out how to cope with them better, or at the very least being able to recognize when those things are leading your thoughts about certain things, or when they are causing you to operate a certain way that may be negative or react to things in a negative way. So there is definitely a place for doing shadow work, working on your traumas, working on your inner child. But what happens a lot with people that get readings and that do self work, they tend to get caught up in the cycle of healing from trauma. So it's a never ending cycle. And like I said, I really think there are certain things you never fully heal from, and that's okay. You just need to learn how to cope with them or recognize, you know, when they're happening. Um, for example, trigger warning, there might be some triggers here. So, for example, I have been in a situation where I was sexually assaulted or raped. I don't know. I don't like saying that word. I rather say sexually assaulted. But I don't know if that's something I was fully ever heal from. It's not something that causes me great pain every day or sadness every day or anything like that. It's not ruling my life at all. I recognize in certain areas where I'm just extremely cautious. I'm not about to just let anybody come into my house. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you the police knocking at my door. Like very, very cautious about what I do. So I recognize in some ways, it's just caused me to be more cautious, more aware of my surroundings, things of that nature, but it's not something that is debilitating or that's keeping me from being able to live, um I guess, quote unquote, a normal life. So if I was to get stuck in the cycle of constantly trying to heal from that, if I think about it, it may make me upset. That's normal. Do I hate the person? No, I don't. Do I There are certain things I can't do anymore. I used to love watching Law and Order SVU, Special Victims Unit. I can't watch that anymore. I don't want to see stories about people being sexually assaulted all the time. The Me Too movement, this happened to me around that time. That was kind of triggering because I didn't want to keep hearing about stories of this happening to people. So it affects me in those ways, and it probably is just going to be like that. And if I was to get stuck up in trying to heal from that, and I need to be able to get to a point where I don't feel anything when I think about this situation, I could be in that cycle forever trying to heal from that instead of moving on and doing something more positive with my life and being in a positive relationship. So with readings, a lot of times, and you hear these people, these from New Age to Jesus people, these tarot readers that have come to into popularity on YouTube from doing tarot readings, and all of a sudden they have some epiphany where it's evil and they got a whole bunch of spiritual warfare in their life because they're doing tarot. They will bring this up as a reason to basically say why it's so bad to do readings and stuff. They'll bring up how people get addicted to readings, and it is true. It is true that people get addicted to readings. It is true that people get addicted to wanting to know what somebody else is thinking about them or how somebody else is plotting on them, and they just get caught up in you basically getting the same messages over and over and over again. Sometimes as a reader, it gets annoying where it's like, dang, like if I'm doing readings over the collective and every week it's the same old, like, geesh, I don't want to talk about negativity all the time. And it seems like those are the readings that people want to watch. Those are the readings that people are drawn to and that have the most views. Like if you try to do a reading over positivity, if you do a reading over positivity when it comes to love or money, you probably gonna get views. But if you really just trying to talk to people about elevation and spiritual elevation, it takes a while to build up your channel if you're doing that. So I could do a lot more salacious readings to get more people to subscribe, but I don't want to focus on trauma 24/7. I will talk about shadow work a lot because it has helped me, and doing subconscious, unconscious work has helped me a lot. Becoming more self aware has helped me a great deal. There is a place for that for sure, but we also need to pivot. So once we have figured certain things out, it's time for us to focus on what we want and start attracting what we want, because the whole point of doing shadow work and figuring out your blockages and your trauma and all of that is to remove blockages so you can do well in life or do better in certain areas. That's the point of going back and going through the pain of reliving certain experiences. It can help you figure out what's causing you medical issues as well. So we have to remember why we are exploring those things in the first place. So once we get enough information and have truly done the work to quote unquote heal, because it's like I said, we might not fully heal from everything, then it's time to move on. It's like an ebb and flow. Okay. It's like cycle, but you don't want to get caught up in a karmic cycle over and over again, talking about trauma, karmic situations, bad karma, all of that stuff. And really, with karmic, that word, people have different takes on it, interpretations. My interpretation of that is it is a situation or a person that is happening over and over in your life. So you're meeting the same type of person in a different body. For example, maybe you're meeting men who always ghost you all the time, or you're meeting men, every relationship you're being abused, or women, or you're always being cheated on, or you're always being mentally abused, or you're always attracting people that don't have money, or they act right in the beginning and then they fall off and they aren't consistent anymore. You're dealing with something that's happening over and over again. Maybe you keep running into jobs where you have coworkers that act a certain way, try to hold you back. Usually, some sort of trauma is connected to karmic situations or relationships. And it's typically a cycle that is repeating from a prior life that you have. So, in my opinion, the true definition of a karmic person, relationship, situation is something that is connected to a past life. You knew that person in a past life. You had these situations happening in a past life. You did not learn the lesson related to that. Or maybe the karmic person has a lesson to learn and you are in their soul group or their soul family, meaning from lifetime to lifetime, we tend to have the same souls that we reincarnate with, and we just play different roles in each other's lives. So you may be a part of somebody else's karmic lesson where they're learning a lesson that they refuse to learn. Okay, so let's say in a past life you had somebody. I'm gonna use situations from my own past lives. You were in a relationship with somebody. That person never was fully emotionally available to you. That person cheated on you constantly. That person was abusive. That person ghosted you a lot, and you never left the person. You kept giving them chance after chance after chance or whatever until you died alone, okay? Because this person was nowhere to be found. And then you meet up with that person again in the next life. And now the universe is testing you. Are you going to do the same thing you did in your past life? Most of us aren't, we don't know this information because we weren't taught it. So we don't recognize that when we meet this person. You may meet this person and feel like you've known them all your life. You all may have an instant connection, an instant spark, a lot of passion, but you don't know this is somebody from a past life, and that's why you're feeling that. So you fall into the trap of dating this person, dealing with them again, and that same stuff starts to happen. This person starts to ghost you. This person starts to mentally abuse you, physically, or whatever. Okay. Now, if you are evolving spiritually and your soul is evolving, you may end up getting on a spiritual path because of this person. A lot of us get on spiritual paths because of a relationship situation or a bad relationship with money or whatever. Something bad is typically happening that's putting us on our spiritual path. So that is why these things happen. Okay. So now you're on a spiritual path because you're looking for ways to cope with the trauma from this situation. And you learn your value. You learn you don't allow people to mistreat you and do you any kind of way and ghost you and talk to you crazy or whatever. So you decide, I know my worth now. My soul is elevated. I'm leaving. You broke the karmic cycle. So now when you reincarnate in the next life, you don't have to deal with that anymore. If you do the opposite and you still keep trying to make it work with this person over and over again, it's never going to work out. Most karmic situations, they're not going to work out. Then when you die and reincarnate, you might run into that same person in that same situation again. Okay. And usually you're gonna have several. Let's say you leave that person in this life, but you're still not fully accepting your value. You're going to run into another person that's going to do the same thing. And you're going to keep doing that. You're going to keep running into people doing the same thing over and over again because you haven't learned your lesson. So, in my opinion, karmic situations, karmic relationships are connected to past life lessons, or they're connected to some sort of lesson that your soul needs to learn and pass, a test you need to pass in order to elevate. Because for whatever reason, we have decided that we're going to come on this earth and it's going to be like Hunger Games or some kind of competition or something where we need to pass all of these tests in order to elevate. Okay, there's still so many theories about why we came here. I'm still trying to figure out what did we why this true merch. You know how they be saying like why? Okay, so with that being said, a lot of people get caught up on karmic situations, twin flames, trauma, all of that stuff, and we're forgetting that there's a lesson connected to it. So if you have done the work to learn that lesson and now you fully know who you are and you know your worth and you know yourself and you're self-aware, you can move past that and start focusing on the things that you want in life and attracting those things, because you don't need to attract any more lessons. You don't need to attract any more trauma to you because you get it. Okay? It takes certain people longer to hit rock bottom. If you already hit rock bottom and you have done the work to pull yourself back up, you can move on. If you hit rock bottom and you just stay in there and Like, I swear, there's some people I know in my life, and I'm like, dang, what is it gonna take for you to finally hit rock bottom? Some people have to learn, bump their heads over and over and over and over again. So they're gonna keep attracting those situations. So they need to have those traumatic situations to keep happening. So they finally get it through their thick skulls. Okay. If you done the work, you don't need to keep focusing on attracting lessons to yourself. So focus on the things you want. Where your focus grows, the area that your focus grows, that is what grows. Okay. Where your focus goes, grows. And sometimes we need to be focused on trauma, and sometimes we need to be focused on what makes us happy. And how I got to this point is because my biological father has never been in my life. I've gone to his house. By the way, I'm 32. I always forget how old I am. I'm 32. But I've gone to his house a few times when I was younger, maybe like 3 or 4. I don't know. I feel like it definitely can count on one hand. He's never, ever, ever been in my life. But even though he's never been in my life, I've always had a father. I've always had a father figure. My mom met my sister's dad before she gave birth to me, and he decided that he was going to treat me. He didn't have any kids at the time. So it was like I was his first child. So he wanted to treat me that way, and he did. And his entire family embraced me. It was as if we were blood. Now, eventually, him and my mom broke up, but they did have 2 kids, my sisters. And my mom got married. So I had a stepdad that she was married to, and it was the same situation. He took me in and my sisters in like we were his, and his family did the same. And I always was the favorite. Like, I was the favorite in every situation. Is, I'm just that great. So it's really been bothering me. I understand that there is probably a lesson connected to my father not being there. And I understand how that affected me dating in relationships, because I would get ghosted a lot. I would get ghosted a lot by men. And I also would give men credit for being good fathers. So I would look for men who were good fathers. But I wasn't looking for men who were good partners. So I would get these men that were awesome fathers, and they were great to my son. I have a 12-year-old son, and they were great to their children, and they were good men who helped the community and helped their family and all of that. And that's what I was focusing on, but I wasn't focusing on, is this a good partner for me? So they would move mountains, the moons, and the stars to get me. I'm talking about courting me, going on multiple dates in one day. Never had a problem with men spending money and all that. But eventually the communication would fall off, and they would start ghosting me. And it got to a point where I would have to, almost be chasing them. Like, what happened? How come I haven't heard? I had to learn that I was a little emotionally unavailable too, because it was easy for them to ghost me, because you could go 2 to 3 days without calling me, and I don't care. I'm busy. I got stuff to do. I don't need to talk to you every day. That's just how I am. I also don't know how I would be married and live in a house with somebody, because I would have to have a big house. I don't want to see you all the time. So I'm a little bit emotionally unavailable myself, and I learned that through this process, because it made it easy for guys to ghost me, because I'm not gonna be on your back like that. But eventually I would have to start chasing them, like, and it would get to a point where I'm calling you and I know for a fact you're not gonna answer. And then I realized, when I call my dad, I know for a fact he's not gonna answer. I'm gonna be surprised if he answered. That's a parallel there. So I started realizing, oh, I'm attracting these type of men because I got daddy issues. And it's playing out in my romantic relationships. So I had to go through that process of healing. I had to go through that process of explaining what I didn't like to my dad, my stepdad, and my dad, and my biological dad. Okay, because there's a difference. And So now I'm to a point where I understood why I was attracting those different people. And I took 3 years off of dating. I have not dated. I have not had sex. I am abstinent. Okay. I realized I'm not about to just give myself to people easily. Another thing, I would let people force me into relationships quickly, like pressure me into getting into a relationship quickly. And I realized they were doing that so I wouldn't figure out who they were for real. Like, and by the time I figure out who they really were, I'm already in a relationship with you. I'm already have deep feelings for you. I've already invested time. I don't want to leave. So I'm not letting nobody rush me into no relationship. I need to see how you are as a partner, not just how you are with the community and how good of a person you are. Because that's not the same as you being a good partner. I've learned those lessons. So I don't need to focus on the people that ghosted me all the time. I don't need to focus on getting a reading to see how they feel about me. Do they want me back? What are they thinking? Are they getting their karma? I don't need to focus on that. I don't care what they got going on. Who cares? Do they telepathically try to reach out to me all the time? Do I care? No. You got to move past it, okay? And another thing what really brought me here is I went back to my sister's dad, and we communicate on Facebook and stuff, but we haven't really been like talking because I kind of didn't want to like infringe on my sister's relationship with their dad either, because like I said, I'm the favorite all the time. So sometimes people feel a way about that. So I wanted to give them space or whatever with their own father. So one of his family members recently died, and it just made me sad, and it brought me to this epiphany, because I remember when the last time she saw me, like, she knew me as a baby because his whole family embraced me, but I didn't really remember her because I was so young. So when she saw me the last time I went back to my hometown, she was so excited, and she's like, "Oh my God," like, just so happy to see me and telling me about how I was as a baby. And it was just like, wow, like his family really loved me and he really loved me, even though I'm not biologically his. So when she died recently, it just made me sad. Like, wow. And I remembered how she embraced me. And I was like, why am I so upset about my own father not being there? And he has apologized to me about not being there, and he'll send money for my son. He'll cash at me every once in a while. He'll talk to me on Facebook every once in a while. But it wasn't enough. I feel like he's not doing enough. I feel like he could be doing a lot more and making a lot better effort than he is. And it started at first, it wasn't bothering me, but it has started to bother me lately. Like, I'm over here taking tally on everything. Like, oh, he didn't tell me happy birthday, but I post my mom's birthday on Facebook. He's telling her happy birthday. He's telling my son happy birthday. He's telling my sister's dad happy birthday. He didn't tell me. I'm over here paying attention to everything, taking a tally, and getting really irritated and frustrated. And I'm like, I don't even know my family. I don't know my grandmother on his side. I don't know my grandfather on his side. Both of them died recently, like in around COVID time. And I didn't even feel anything that my grandparents died because I don't even know them. I don't have a connection with them. So I've been kind of like irritated lately with him, period. But then I was like, but I have this man who loves me and adores me like his own child, and his family loves me and adores me like I'm their family. I can just pursue a relationship with him because he wants to have a relationship with me. So why am I focused on the trauma aspect of my dad not being there? Yes, I needed to focus on that to figure out what the heck was going on in my relationships and why I kept attracting the same type of toxicity in every single man. But now that I've figured that out, I don't need to focus on that, and I don't need to focus on him anymore. F him at this point, because I don't cuss. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. And that's another thing. You don't want to talk too much about what's going on with you because you don't want to make the other people involved in those situations feel bad. But at this point, F him. Like, if you don't want to be a part of my life consistently and make a real effort, oh well. I'm not about to keep being upset or sad or mad about it. Period. I have people in my life that are willing to take that role. I've had more than one father in my life, and that's what matters. And I've been feeling more open to love and more open to dating and being in a relationship now. Whereas before, I was completely closed off to it. I was worried about my business, my business, my business, my money, my money, my money, my child, my child, my child. I didn't give a dang about dating. Don't talk to me. Like, don't say hi to me. Like, you know, I'm a Libra, so people flirt with me a lot because people just flirt with Libras. So people flirt with me a lot. And I think that's cool, but I was not trying to have a relationship. I did not want to put the time into getting to know somebody, talking to you on the phone, texting you, all that. I was like, I'm busy and I'm focused on my business. I could care less about a man right now. Don't talk to me about it. Don't try to give me a reading about it. I don't care. Now I'm opening myself up. I'm finding I'm more open to that. Okay. And I'm feeling the energy like something is about to pop off as far as me dating and getting back out there and drawing in the type of love that I really want. And I think it's because I'm coming full circle now. I'm focusing on the things that make me happy, the relationships that are reciprocal and that other people want to foster with me. I'm not focusing on the people who don't want to be consistent with me anymore. I'm not focusing on that trauma because I don't need to, because I figured out what blockages it was causing in my life. And now I can recognize those. And now I can focus on what I actually want to manifest, what I want to see happening in my life, the relationships with the people that matter. So hopefully that wasn't all jumbled together. My family history is complex, so it's hard to explain it all. I would be here all day trying to explain it all. But that's as far as I could go. The situation where I was sexually assaulted or raped, that was an ex-boyfriend of mine who I also had a past life relationship with, who was abusive to me in that past life. He wasn't necessarily abusive in this life. I felt like he was controlling. We weren't together when he did that, but another situation where it's something continuing from a past life, which I feel like a lot of our issues in this lifetime are connected to lessons he has to learn, not necessarily me. I do recognize that I overlooked his controlling ways because he was a good father and he had his finances together and he was a leader and he was, you know, in his community, he's a leader. He's a leader at work, all of that. And I have a lot of those qualities. I'm a very strong, passionate woman. I'm a leader myself. I'm a go-getter. I have a lot of ambition. Ambition to me is a masculine quality. So I have a lot of masculine energy sometimes. So dating people my age kind of doesn't work for me. Dating men who aren't a little bit aggressive or strong, or I would walk all over them. So I do tend to end up with people that are a little bit controlling, just a little bit. So I'm still, learning those lessons. But now that I figured those out and all that stuff that was going on in my relationships and the past life lessons and all that, I don't have to keep thinking about that and focusing on that anymore. I can focus on happiness. I can focus on love. I can focus on meeting genuine people, making genuine connections. I can focus on giving people a chance and not just turning people down right away because I just was closed off. I'm more open now, and I think it's all coming full circle. And I am fostering a relationship with my sister's dad, who is like my dad now, because I'm going where I wanted. I'm not going trying to chase after my biological father, who doesn't seem to really care that much. Just to be honest, yes, he's apologized and he says he loves me and all that. I don't know if I believe that he loves me, but maybe he cares for me. but he's not trying to foster a relationship the way I need it to be fostered. And I'm not going to focus on that anymore. I'm not going to make myself feel sad or upset or be mad at him or anything. I'm just going to focus on the men in my life who have stepped up, who have replaced him as a father figure, essentially. So, just wanted to give y'all a little bit of information about my life and explain how once you've done the work to heal, you don't want to keep focusing on trauma and the lessons over and over again. Focus on happiness, focus on love, focus on the new blessings you're calling into yourself. So, hopefully that helps somebody, telling y'all all my business. Okay, please like, share, and subscribe if you feel called to do so. If you have anything you want to say, if you can relate to this, please let us know in the comment section if you feel comfortable doing so. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Toodles.